starting us off with just like a top level overview of the diamond standard, maybe some of its components and its terminology?
Sure, sure. So, okay, so a diamond, you guys have been studying or looking at proxy contracts, this idea where you have a contract. Did you guys like cover like the delegate call where, where a proxy uses delegate call to use a function from another contract? Okay, so a diamond takes the idea of a normal proxy. Like if you go to Open Zeppelin and you use their proxy, they have a contract with the fallback function, and the fallback function is used to use other functions from other contracts. Okay, and so the diamond takes that concept one step further, where instead of having a proxy that only has one implementation contract, one contract it uses for its functions, it now has multiple functions for its multiple contracts that it uses functions from. So the proxy now, so that's kind of where the diamond terminology comes in, because it kind of it's a conceptual thing where a diamond has many sides, many facets, and so a diamond is is the idea of a proxy that has many different implementation contracts. They're like sort of different sides of a diamond, if you can conceptualize that. So there's that. So that's the basic architecture, and then there's some other things, like there's some once you have this diamond, you might want to know, well, what functions does it actually support, and like what are the implementation contracts it uses. And so the diamond standard specifies a couple of things for that purpose. Like it specifies an event called diamond cut. This diamond cut event is emitted anytime a new function is added to a diamond, a function is replaced on the diamond, a function is removed. It also emits what are the contracts that are added to the diamond. And so back to the terminology, a diamond, the side of a diamond is called a faucet. And so in the diamond standard, when you have a diamond, which is your proxy contract, and then the implementation contracts are faucets, are called faucets. It's just so that's where how that terminology comes. And then there's this idea of a cut. If you cut a diamond, then you're creating new faucets, new sides of a diamond. So when you add new faucets to a diamond, new functions, then you're cutting the diamond. So that's kind of how the analogy there works.
Cool. Thanks, Nick. And thanks for that general overview there as well, and taking it from the proxy contract. So I have a question for you as far as like what gave you the inspiration to bring this forward as a standard, and how was that process? How did you like going through that process and all of that?
Yeah, so it was really born because I was working on another standard, which is ERC or EIP 998, which is the composable non-fungible token standard. This idea where you can have like ERC 721 tokens, NFTs, that can possess or hold other NFTs. So it's like NFTs within NFTs. Also, an NFT could hold ERC20 tokens, and then you could transfer your NFT around, and it would also transfer the ERC20 tokens because they're owned by the NFT. So I was working on this standard, ERC 998, which really is an extension of the ERC 721 standard, NFT standard. And then I was doing an implementation of this ERC 998, and it was called Mokins. And I ran into this problem where I wanted Mokins. Mokin is an NFT that's able to hold or own other NFTs like CryptoKitties. Any ERC 721, also hold ERC20s. when I was implementing it, I ran into the max contract size limit, because when you're making a contract, you hit the 24 kilobyte limit.
3.5. Is it from 12 to 3.5? No, 345 they were carried from 12 to 30.
That's okay. I've got kids too. If those are kids.
Mejor solo 11 to. Sí.
Sorry, I thought that was on your end, Nick. Okay, we're good.
Okay. So oh yeah, what was I talking about? Oh yeah, so basically I ran to the contract size limit, 24 kilobytes, and for this contract, I really needed the code to be in one contract. I did, using one contract address, and so it was a problem because I needed to, put more code into the contract, but it wouldn't deploy because of the size. And so that's really where I started. That's really where the diamond came about. I said, well, how is it possible to do this? And so I started researching how to do that, and that work and research eventually led to the diamond. And then when I found the solution, I thought to myself, other people are going to have this problem too, and so it seemed like it would be good to standardize. Now, the diamond kind of creates a new problem of, once you have this proxy contract that can use any number of faucets and can use any number of functions, you need a good way to be able to introspect, to be able to see what does this diamond currently have. And you need a way to track upgrades, a way to, you've upgraded it 20 times. Well, how do you see those 20 times it's been upgraded? How do you see what's been upgraded? And so that's where standardization was important so that you can build tools. You have a standard event, and then you can build tooling to look at that event so you can show all the upgrades and what's been added, what's been removed. And also the diamond has something called loop functions or loop functions. And this again comes from the diamond standard. A magnifying glass that is used to look at a diamond is called a loop or loop. I don't know how the proper pronunciation on it, but and the diamond has 4 standard functions that tell you what's in the diamond. These functions tell you, they return to you basically what functions the diamond have, what the faucet addresses it has. So it returns those things in different ways. So the idea is that, okay, we have a standard for how you do this pattern, and then that way people can make user interfaces that can show upgrade history, can show you what's in the diamond, what functions, what are its faucets, and so you can have tooling for like development, for deployment, for testing. All these kinds of things can be all written one time and used for all diamonds. So that's where I thought the standardization would be important, so you can build the tooling and the integration that works with all diamonds. Oh, also it's useful to standardize, because if you standardize it, it makes it easier to understand for a lot of people, because if it's like there's a pattern and maybe there's different kind of ways to do the pattern, but if you isolate what is the basic pattern and make it known, then people will, it's easier to, I think, understand on the long term, and have the terminology for it. Some people complain about the terminology, like there's some existing terminology. Part of the terminology comes from originally the diamond standard was called another standard, was like the transparent contract standard, but then Open Zeppelin already was using the word transparent for something else, and they asked me to change it, and I wanted to use a term that would that would catch attention, but also be conceptually what we're doing with the pattern.
Awesome. Yeah, that makes a ton of sense. I really like this idea of like creating new UIs that everyone can reuse. And so if I put a diamond standard out there, I know that I can maybe reuse somebody else's governance process to like upgrade facets of my diamond, things like that, right? Have you seen any of these sort of UIs start to be built out so far? Have any of these kind of come to fruition?
No, the UIs for the diamond really haven't happened yet, but it's like a really good project for people to do, and it would really be a great contribution for Diamond. It can be really simple static website that, that shows, it can be built upon, add more functionality, but a simple version would just be something that, you give it an address that's to a Diamond, and then it shows you, here's the functions that Diamond has, here's the faucet addresses, and then you could build on that. You could show the upgrades that have happened to a Diamond over time. There's a lot of things can be done. I haven't seen it yet. It's something I actually want to work on, but I really haven't had time, and I don't have time to do that because I'm working on other projects. But I really want someone to take it on, and I just think eventually it will happen. I have seen the standard be useful in development tooling, there's a couple of software tools out there. One from Hard Hat, which is a Hard Hat deploy, which allows people to more easily, it has some tooling for creating diamonds. And so in my own contract development, having the standardization made it easy to write scripts to test diamonds and to interact with them.
The students know already I'm a huge fan of Hard Hat, and that's what we use throughout the course. So that would be really cool to look into. And what you're talking about with these UIs sound like great ideas for final projects for students. Hint, hint. Next question, I guess, is kind of related. Do you see any sort of competing standards for this? Has anyone attempted kind of like a similar thing as far as standardizing contracts and how they interact and maybe some proxies, that type of thing?
Not really. I think maybe what stands out is Open Zeppelin's proxy contracts, their implementations, and I think there's some standards on that. There's some proxy standards, and it's good to say, like, when should you use like an Open Zeppelin proxy versus a Diamond? And if you want, I could give some comments about that right now.
Sure, that would be great.
Okay, so if you have like a contract that the functionality is not going to be a lot of functionality, and it's not something it's something that it's not going to be expanded in the future, like you're not going to want to have, you're not going to want to add to it in the future. It's just like, okay, I need this thing, it's small and it's not going to grow. Then a proxy contract from like Open Zeppelin I think is a good thing to use. It's simpler than a Diamond, so you could just use that. But if you have like some contract functionality where it's going to be like a bigger project, you're going to have a certain a larger amount of functionality. Maybe you don't even know what it is yet, but you just know that it might expand into a lot of functionality. Then a Diamond is good to use because then you don't have to worry about contract size limit thing. I've also found that Diamonds are a good code organizational tool because you have a lot of contract functionality. A Diamond allows you to isolate, put similar functionality together in a faucet. So you have these separate faucets, and each faucet has a different set of functionality. And so it provides you a way to organize your contracts by functionality and your code by functionality. And so I found that to be pretty helpful. So I guess in short, if you're going to have a lot of functionality, a Diamond is good. If you're going to have not very much functionality, you're not going to expand on it. If it fits in one contract, then a proxy is good, from like Open Zeppelin or something.
That makes a ton of sense. Yeah, yesterday we went through and we used an Open Zeppelin proxy for a very simple example. And it was quite easy to just put it in the fallback function and then be able to call out to different contracts. But yeah, once you get into the spot where you have to compartmentalize maybe some of your logic and it's getting bigger, that seems to make a lot of sense. So kind of another question here. So I know that we talked about the UIs and how this could be really, really helpful building awesome tools for people that are building the Diamond standard. Are there teams today that are using this standard for their smart contracts?
Yes, there are. There's a new exchange that's in development. It's called Derivadex. It's going to be an exchange that does derivative tokens, buying and selling of that, which are like the Aava tokens and like compound tokens. So they're using the Diamond standard for their governance of their protocol. Barnbridge is another DeFi protocol that's using the Diamond standard. Aavegotchi, which is project I'm involved, we're using the Diamond standard very much. Aavegotchi is this NFT that's gamified, and it's gamified and also has DeFi aspects. And so we have a lot of contract functionality, and the Diamond has allowed us to really organize that and work with that in a good way. Let's see, other projects. There's another project which is PiDAO, which does which is a DeFi protocol project. So they're using the Diamond. And then and I know there's other people that are doing things with it as well.
Wow, that's exciting. That's quite a list, and some really good projects in there. So UIs for this sort of stuff sounds like a really cool thing to build. I'll plug it once more, and Will's giving a laugh. Cool. So I guess that's all.
Griffin asked perfect timing, because Griffin asked a cool question in the chat, Dan, if you want to address that one. And I was going to push for mine as well, because it's very related, but it's about navigating adoption. And how do you, I'm curious about how you navigate adoption from an incentives perspective. Like, why does Nick Mudge spend a lot of his time pushing this? How are you leveraged and incentivized, other than the goodness of your heart? Because I'm sure you're a great guy. But also, like, there's a political aspect to this, as Griffin says. And I wonder if you're thinking about like measuring adoption in terms of actual tooling. If you've built things to say how many, like, do you have a counter, a little widget that tells you, hey, another project just downloaded your code or something, so you start to see how you're the dominant standard, because these things have momentum, right? If you hit a certain tipping point, everyone will use it, because there's more friction in not using it than using it. So it's a massive question, but there you go.
Yeah, so kind of like, what's motivation for doing it and promoting it and that kind of thing, right? I think there's different things. There's the desire to make something that solves a problem, and that's cool, and share it with people, and then getting people to, seeing people use it, use your stuff is great. On a more business wise or career wise, it helps in that if projects are want to adopt the Diamond standard, then and then so they'll look for people who are familiar with the Diamond standard, who have experience with it, who have taken a boot camp on it, and because then they'll want to hire them, or they want them to be an advisor, or they want them to do security audits. So me developing it and getting people use it kind of makes it easier for me to get work, because I'm a Solidity developer. So it kind of helps in that end. But I'm also a creator myself, so I just like to create stuff and get it out there and get people using it. So there's all these different aspects that help each other.
Awesome.
I hope that answers that. As far as tracking it, I'm not really tracking it very well. I like to hear people using it. I like to see, hear about new projects that are using it. I like to see, like, I have some implementations of the Diamond, but like the standard is pretty flexible, and you can implement diamonds in different ways. And so I'm glad to see people do their own implementations and things like that.
Cool, man. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah. So thanks, Will, for jumping in there. If anyone else has any questions, feel free to either type them in the chat or to hop in as well. And I will. So Griffin did ask a great question, Nick, that is kind of related, but something kind of more in depth as far as the EIP process itself. So Griffin wrote here in the chat, it sounds like you spent a lot of time working through blockchain bureaucracy. How has your experience been with getting people to sign on to a standard like this? And how do you find the Ethereum community has been over this process? Said he's reminded of an ever relevant XKCD about competing standards.
Yeah, we're like, there's 14 competing standards, and then like, how do you know what standard to roll them on? After a little bit, there are now 15 competing standards.
Oh, I wasn't getting that from Griffin, dude. What's he saying?
Yeah, Griffin, you're coming in a little bit modulated. Yeah, you're coming in a little bit modulated at the moment, but if you type it into the chat, I can speak it out as well.
He's not in the best of internet connections, aka he's in Myanmar, military coup, some ups and downs with the old internet over there.
But yeah, I can speak on the EIP process. So, you know, making a new EIP, like a draft, is, you know, is very easy to do. Just, you know, you write it, and then you can, before we actually get it published as a EIP on the like eip.ethereum.org, you want to like make an issue on the EIP GitHub, and, you know, kind of get some feedback, initial feedback, before you actually, you know, get a draft, an actual draft done. But it's pretty easy, and then you want to get feedback, and you gotta go find smart people, and ask them to give you feedback. And so I did it a lot with the Diamond Standard, and I got a lot of feedback from good people. You know, like the Diamond Standard, with any new idea, sometimes it's hard to get people to understand what it is, what you're trying to do, and so, you know, that's where the bureaucracy comes in, where people are like saying things that just kind of like are not, maybe are wrong, or not, like they don't understand what you're trying to do. Like I wanted, like some people said, well, this is a pattern, why do you need a standard for this? You know, things like that. And so like the answer is because I want to have a user interface to be able to work, one user interface to work with all diamonds, because I want tooling to be able to work with all diamonds, because I want there to be like a standard way to do this, so people can all, you know, when I make a diamond and then Joe joins the company, he can, and he knows diamonds already, he'll be able to pick it up and understand it well, because so like those are some reasons. So yeah, so it was mostly just, you know, getting feedback from people. The feedback did change the standard, where like I changed some things based on what people said, and then so it's changed around, you know, some. Now it's not changing. Like I think the technical, like the standardized contract parts, like the contract interfaces, so I don't think those will change. But like documentation, like giving more information that's useful to people in the standard, like security considerations, and maybe just like more useful info about, you know, how to use the diamond and stuff. I'm still learning things, like you know, like I spent a lot of time like trying to figure out what are the benefits of a diamond, what are the drawbacks, and like I've realized some of the benefits I thought were benefits are not really that beneficial, and I realized benefits that I didn't think of are beneficial. Like I used to think that, well, a diamond would be really good in development, because you could upgrade it, like continually upgrade your diamond, and then you wouldn't have to, your address stays the same, so any of your testing stuff, any of your UIs, they don't have to change like their the address in them.
Mhm.
So, and like, but I found that not to really be true. That you know, it's actually just easier to redeploy the diamond every time you make a change, than doing an upgrade. So that, you know, oh, that benefit's not very useful. But what I found out is that having a single address for a lot of contract functionality is extremely useful, because if you have like a user interface, or if you have other contracts that integrate with your system, if you only have one address that you need to like update with them, and that you only have to think with one address, then it's just simpler to update things. And rather than if you have 4 or 5 addresses, and, you know, now you have to update like 4 or 5 variables in different places, and things like that. So I found that dealing with one address is useful.
Oh, that makes a ton of sense.
But I'm still, you know, I'm still learning too. But it's been good. Yeah.
Thanks, Nick.
Is my mic working again?
Yeah, now you sound great. Yep.
Okay, cool. Sorry. It's the levels in Zoom are always too high when you first install it, and I had to reinstall Ubuntu. So anyways, obviously you wouldn't use the Diamond Standard for this, but if there were another evil standard, could you think of ways, do you think that there are like nefarious things you could do with this pattern, like keeping a contract that's the same and then switching it out? Or like what sort of security issues have you run into or thought about, or seen maybe use cases that you weren't expecting?
Right, let's think. Well, one thing that can be tricky is that, you know, I like to have a diamond that it has a fallback function in it, but it has no other like function directly in it. There's no like hard-coded function directly in it, just fallback function, and it just uses the faucets for all its functions. But you could add well, I'm just thinking, you could add some like hard-coded functions into the diamond, and then you can sort of can be confusing to people. Like now you have a diamond that has functions that don't come from a faucet, and you can't like remove those functions. I don't know. There might be something you can do that with that. But let's see, anything else? I guess contract storage is something you can mess with. Oh, I mean, you guys might have contract storage is a big thing with proxies and diamonds, because Solidity has this state variable layout mechanism where you declare your state variables and Solidity keeps track of them and it all works. But it doesn't work. Solidity's built-in state variable layout mechanism doesn't work for diamonds or proxies, which is why you have to adopt an organizational strategy for your state variables. And so OpenZeppelin has mechanisms to do that. And then so with the diamond standard, there's something called diamond storage, which is a way to how to organize your state variables. I published a new article recently called app storage, which is a way to share state variables between different faucets. But that's if you do that right, then you're good. But if you want to mess with people and mess with things, and you can mess with state variables by declaring them in the wrong places, and having one state variable overwrite another in a different faucet, things like that.
Awesome. Anybody else have any other questions for Nick? Nick, do you have any tips for anyone who's looking to write a standard for the first time? Anything that they should be aware of before they try to write one?
Maybe see if there's already an existing standard for it, or existing information related to it. I would say write, or you could write it, do an implementation for it, get feedback. Maybe when you first have it, get feedback from people already, and then once you get their feedback, then you can reach out to people you don't know. So yeah. I've seen that for adoption for standards, it seems to be related to like need, like how much is it needed. For example, like I was around when the ERC 721 standard was being developed, and there was a lot of people interested, a lot of people wanted to use that, so there's a lot of adoption. Obviously, ERC 20 standard was really a lot of adoption. So the diamond standard, I feel, is more its adoption is slower, because you can implement a lot of you can do a lot of things without a diamond. So a diamond, its benefits are more in like I think it's easier to develop things with a diamond and organize things with a diamond. I think you can in some situations you can do things with less gas if you use a diamond. But the adoption's been less strong, lot slower than like a token standard, where a token are really needed. So if you're making a standard, you can also kind of predict like, like how needed the standard, or like if you're going to create like a new market, like a new thing, then and people are going to go in that direction, then that standard could be useful too. So those are some of my thoughts on that.
Awesome. Thank you, Nick. I know you're working on a ton of projects. Is there anything that you're super excited about that you'd like to maybe shill or talk about towards the end of this year?
Sure, thanks for giving me that opportunity. So I've been working on Aavegotchi, which is as I told you, it's a project, but it's on Matic Network, which was recently renamed to Polygon. So Matic Network is compatible with Ethereum. So like all the smart contracts, Solidity code, hard hat, all the tooling works on Matic Network. It's just like developing for Ethereum, works just like Ethereum, but on Matic Network or Polygon, same thing. It's the gas fees are very low, transactions are faster, but really the main thing is the gas fees are really low because we're making this NFT game where the user will need to do a lot of transactions to play the game, but it just won't work on Ethereum because the fees are so high. And so I'm excited about Polygon and Matic Network. I'm excited about Aavegotchi because I think it's like kind of like CryptoKitties, like 2.0 or something. It's just like taking things to another level with gameplay, with NFTs, and with DeFi. So I'm excited about that and Polygon and stuff. I'm also involved in the project called QuickSwap, which is a Uniswap clone on Matic Network or Polygon, and so I'm involved with them and getting liquidity, onto Matic Network, which is growing. And so I think layer 2 has been strong this year. I think it's continued to be strong. So those other layer 2 like XDAI, I think those things are for Solidity developers going to be in demand for developing on these kinds of layer 2 solutions.
Yeah, and especially like the interoperability and getting bridges built and making sure we can go smoothly between them, right? That's super important.
Definitely.
Thanks, Nick. Thank you so much for joining us today. That was hugely informative and super great timing on coming into the course. So thank you again.
Great. Thank you guys for having me.
Thanks, Nick. Appreciate your time, man.
Yeah.
Have a good day, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.